Things were a lot better back when white men were not being discriminated against by every institution in the country, but instead were running most of them. Instead, our society set out on a campaign to punish, exclude, and alienate this very group. That is their reward for having carried the weight of Western civilization on their shoulders.
That excerpt is from a brief video of Matt Walsh on the incredible contributions of white men throughout the ages to the present. We'll play it in full shortly. The malcontents who were originally empowered by white men through equal opportunity and civil liberties laws, because the genetically weak ones couldn't compete with the ingenuity, enterprise, and courage of white men, are now using weaponized laws and institutions to shackle white men so that the meritless can rise without worth. To cement their positions in an increasingly feminized society, the meritless and harridans are marginalizing, discriminating against, demonizing, and seeking to eradicate white men in order to unjustifiably and without merit empower themselves. This is to retain unearned privileges handed to them, while they attempt to validate their own unproductive second-rate existences, while parasitically feeding off white men using diversity, equity, and inclusion laws and policies as weapons to dispense with their own lack of merit and excellence. This is a risk to the civilization by replacing excellence with mediocrity. I say, be very careful what they wish for, as their own existence will be in peril, since life and being are not guaranteed in this world. Life is fought for against nature, the elements, access to resources, and vanquishing enemies who will take your life, treasure, and homeland as conquerors if you're weak, not vigilant or masculine enough to defend what you've earned or been bequeathed. The latter is often the case for women as dependents and child-bearers, which guarantees the continuance of the civilization. This is the necessary interdependent balance between men and women. Women are nurturers and carers, and men are providers and protectors. Some modern women vociferously wish to deny this balance, but it's nature. It can't be ignored despite the exceptions, which doesn't make the norm. The state of the natural world is one of predators and prey. It's full of killers, no matter how much one might wish it weren't or wish to deny it. Peace and security are the exception in this world. History shows they are not the norm. The current state of affairs has arisen from the relative worldwide peace dividend from World War II and the spectacular advances in scientific discovery, knowledge, and communications that shrink the world, giving the illusion of harmony which men seek for their women and children. The breakdown and shattering of the world's rules-based order by Israel is bringing security, peace, and harmony to an end. A new world is emerging, that of natural selection, which social justice laws seek to restrain, subdue, and curb. But the laws of nature will prevail. It's brutal when it does. Watch, and I'll be back with a very ominous message of the consequences of what we're currently seeing.
Things were a lot better back when white men were not being discriminated against by every institution in the country, but instead were running most of them. And the fact of the matter is that a hugely disproportionate number of our greatest leaders, innovators, pioneers, explorers, philosophers, and so on have been white men. I mean, without white men, we wouldn't have airplanes or spaceships or trains or phones or light bulbs or computers or the internet or batteries or x-ray machines or jet engines or rockets or 1,000 other things that our society depends on to exist and to flourish. We wouldn't have this country, which was founded by white men and led by white men and expanded from coast to coast and settled and built up mostly by white men. Now, these are all facts, historical realities that cannot be denied by reasonable people. It's just true. And while black women are encouraged to be proud of the historical achievements of black women, whatever those might be, and Asians to be proud of Asian achievements and Native Americans of Native American achievements and so on, white men are the one group on the entire face of the planet who've been forbidden to even acknowledge what other white men have accomplished, much less to express any pride in it, God forbid. Instead, our society set out on a campaign to punish and exclude and alienate this very group. That is their reward for having carried the weight of Western civilization on their shoulders.
In addition to the selfless good that white men have always demonstrated, being ready and willing to sacrifice themselves for others, in recent decades they have been accommodating and tolerant toward irritants. However, when they have had enough, history has shown that they can become very disagreeable and total resets occur. As conquerors, white men can be unforgiving toward their detractors and enemies with devastating consequences, because they know that civilization itself is at stake if opportunists are allowed to prevail. Some white men withdraw and detach, as many have done to date in order to go along to get along, but get in their way when they seek to form a family, provide and protect, or take that family through a biased and weaponized legal system, and all hell will break loose. We are approaching this time of pushback, hard pushback, particularly as they see their homelands invaded as seditious traitors of their own race orchestrate, aid, and abet the invasions. It's no coincidence it's only happening in white nations. There's an undeclared war going on. Fortunately, white heterosexual men are still the male masculine majorities in their nations. It's up to them to remove the subversive traitors and send the invaders packing. White men have had enough after decades of being downtrodden. Their acquiescence is over as they form white nationalist groups and political parties. This is the righteous way, as the alternative is Enoch Powell's unthinkable Red River.
This country, in 15 or 20 years' time, the black man will have the whip hand over the white man.
It's a speech which, 50 years on, still rears its head when the topic of immigration is raised. On the 20th of April 1968, the Conservative MP Enoch Powell spoke against mass immigration at the party's political centre in Birmingham in what is known as the Rivers of Blood speech. The speech was critical of the Race Relations Bill, which later that year became an Act of Parliament. The new legislation made it illegal to refuse housing, employment and public services to people on the basis of race. Powell believed it would be used to discriminate against the established white population.
What will not be tolerated going forward is the ridiculing, demeaning, and lampooning of white men, or dispossessing them of their assets, identity, and natural God-given role as head of the family and in public administration. You have seen the deplorable ads, sitcoms, and movies degrading white men. This will come to a sudden stop. When that happens, the malcontents, deplorables, and parasites who have been living off the ingenuity, selflessness, and sweat of these men will be driven back under the rocks from which they emerged, thinking it was safe to do what they have been doing. It wasn't safe. Eventually, every sedate, mistreated dog bites hard. Let this be a stern warning as times of reckoning approach. When the world is upside down, safety and security evaporate, and the gnashing of teeth will be heard. There will be a cry for real masculine men to fix it and restore order and abundance, for it is men who bring order out of chaos. It's these times the civilization is heading into once more. Real men, hard men, brave men will prevail, restoring the divine natural order. Get ready for the social reset. If you can't feel it, or this is news to you, or it's implausible, you won't survive what's coming. Any preemptive crackdowns will only bring forward the spark that lights the fire. What's coming can't be avoided, as it's the natural order. Brace yourselves.